This is Mounjaro. It sounds like a spin-off from Jumanji to make Kevin Hart richer, but it actually belongs to a group of medications, including Ozempic and Wegovy, commonly referred to by many as jabs for fat lazy people and celebrities. Well, I've tried it, and call me fat and lazy if you like, but the results have been absolutely incredible, although not necessarily in the way that you would think. Also, if you do want to regard me as a minor celebrity, I'll take that too. Excuse the mess, I'm moving house. Now, a while ago, I watched this video from James Smith, a fitness influencer that I have some actual time for, mainly because he doesn't devote his days to flashing his nipples in too small clothing to try and secure endorsements from companies selling you junk.
I was supposed to take this for a month, but I had to stop after 2 weeks because I lost too much weight.
So he used semaglutide as found in Ozempic and Wegovy and had, in a week, a complete change in his weight, which over a week doesn't mean that much, but more interestingly in how he felt about food.
After taking semaglutide, I thought I'd feel sick all the time, but I just felt not really bothered by food, which was completely new to me.
And then, throughout the summer, I've been getting emails from people either saying they are using one of these products and getting great results, but feel bad about relying on it, or that they're interested in approaching their doctor to discuss them, but they're hesitant to do so because, again, they feel bad about relying on it because they know public opinion on these is not always great. What did I think? And I had no answer for them. My gut reaction was it seems like a weird shortcut when you just need to find a way of implementing a correct balance of calories in and calories out. Do we really need Big Pharma to keep us away from Big Macs? See what I did there? So I tried it for 6 weeks, and coming up, why I did it, how I did it, what I expected, what actually happened, and what next. And if you say Mounjaro 3 times while looking in a mirror, does the rock appear? Now, as always, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a fitness expert. In fact, I'm not an expert in anything, and I never advise that you do what I do. I simply do what I like because I'm a grown-up. And I then invite you to watch for entertainment purposes. Think of me like you would the people that jump off of cliffs wearing MC Hammer's pants, or the ones swimming with sharks. They're not always doing things that are wise, but they're not expecting you to copy them either. So, why? I have spoken many times about my disordered eating. I have been very overweight in the past, and it has always been down to something up here, encouraging me to eat when I don't really want to eat. We're not talking an extra cheeky cookie, we're talking an extra 3 packs of cookies at 4 o'clock in the morning despite feeling like crap because I spent all day eating cookies.
Cake is my weakness.
Now, people talk about excess weight being a result of a lack of self-control, no willpower. The problem is the brain, where all that good stuff comes from, it's the same brain saying cookie. I often describe it as not an issue of weakness up here, but rather an infuriating excess of strength. The part of my brain wanting Haagen-Dazs when it shouldn't is simply stronger than any other part. I may actually have 10% more willpower than the average person, but if my compulsion to eat is at twice normal levels, I'm screwed.
Strength is my weakness.
Historically, I've used ridiculous amounts of exercise and short periods of being able to rein in that part of my brain doing naughty things to get in shape. They say you can't out-train a bad diet. If you run across enough mountains, you can have a pretty good stab at it. But this year has been tricky. A combination of injuries and then pending house move has made regular exercise almost non-existent for me, and the stress associated with that situation has done nothing but fuel my cookie consumption desire. It's been tough. When I eat a regular amount, I'm disappointed I did not eat more. When I eat more, I'm disappointed I ate more. It's not fun. I'm not looking to have my cake and eat it. I'm sick of wanting to eat cake. How did I do it? Well, in the UK, Mounjaro, it can be prescribed online if you're obese. And thanks to the wonders of the BMI system, my weight crept into obese. Almost. I'm 6'6" and a fraction under obese. At 6'5" and the same weight, I would qualify. So I slouched. Don't judge me, they're jumping off cliffs. I filled out the online questionnaire, had to send a photograph of myself looking obese and slouching and desperate, like a weirdo trying to get onto a kids' ride at a theme park. And within a couple of days, my prescription arrived in the form of a pen that administers 2.5 milligrams a week. After 4 weeks, you get a prescription for a pen that gives you 5 milligrams and then 7.5 milligrams, working your way up to a 15 milligram regular dose. Now, buckle up if you're in America. Typical cost here is between £100 and £200 a month. Americans are paying thousands. For me, I'm not kidding, I saved money over the last 6 weeks by not buying takeaways. In fact, one of the side effects of this drug is that there's now a Deliveroo driver out of work. What did I expect? I expected the process to be easy. The pens are idiot-proof, there's a needle on the end a few millimeters long, you stick it into belly fat and you literally can't feel it.
So what you gotta do is you gotta bring the needle down in a stabbing motion.
But I expected the results to be scary. I had read a lot online about the possibility of being quite ill. A physical effect on the body of using these is a slowing of the digestive system, and consequently that can give some people gastrointestinal distress. I'm no fan of gastrointestinal distress, so my greatest worry was having some of it. I was definitely interested to see if it had an impact on how I felt about food, but no, my main expectation was that it would make me feel ill and I would eat less because I was feeling ill, and then that would be it. So given that was my expectation, was it even sensible to proceed? Was the risk too high? I don't know. Those guys don't even have a spare parachute. What happened? I took the jab, 8 p.m. Friday night. I went to bed, hopeful that I would not wake up Saturday morning surrounded by gastrointestinal distress. I woke up fine. And the first few days are then hard to judge because I was very, very cautious to only eat modest amounts of simple foods on a regular basis. My head had been filled with these horror stories from people eating as they normally would and then feeling quite unwell as a result. With hindsight, I'm wondering if the large number of quite large people using these products skews the feedback on the implications of eating normally. Not everyone's normal is the same. So I ate less than my normal, probably lost a bit of weight, but I don't think we can count that given I was restricting myself through fear. And then I realised something quite weird was going on. Around day 4 or 5, first of all, I still felt completely fine. In fact, I no longer felt stuffed much of the time because I wasn't stuffed much of the time. So actually I felt pretty good. But more significantly, I wasn't thinking about food. On occasions, if my wife had not reminded me, I could easily have forgotten to eat. James said the same thing in his video.
After taking semaglutide, I thought I'd feel sick all the time, but I just felt not really bothered by food, which was completely new to me. I felt in control.
I have never forgotten to eat meals before. I have once forgotten one of my kids when they were 3 years old, left them walking around a supermarket. Didn't realise till I got home and my wife went nuts, but I've never forgotten to eat meals before. And I wasn't snacking in between, I was just eating and thinking about eating normally for the first time in ever. As I say, I've had periods of very controlled eating before, but it's been in conjunction with having to permanently resist the desire to eat. Here, I just had no huge desire to eat. I wasn't fighting against any compulsions, I was free from them. Week 2, 3, 4, that just continued. I had one day on week 2 where I felt a little bit queasy for a few hours, but that was it. And as someone quite able to rattle through 5,000 or 6,000 calories in a single takeaway, I can assure you I felt far more queasy far more often than I did here. It genuinely was mind-blowing how in just a matter of days, my whole thought process around food had changed. And daily I was experiencing scenarios I could just never have imagined before. I was going on long car journeys and eating maybe a small packet of peanuts instead of an absolute barrage of junk food. I was buying petrol without picking up snacks at the same time. When crisp and dips and stuff was put in front of me at friends' houses, when socialising, I just had no interest beyond having maybe a couple. I wasn't fighting the urge to eat. I wasn't trying to keep those thoughts at bay. They just did not exist. And it is wonderful. In the last 6 weeks, I have not had any feelings of guilt from having overindulged, and I've not felt ill from having overindulged. I've enjoyed food more than I can remember, because I would sit down for a meal, physically hungry, but not mentally hungry, if that makes sense. So the food would taste great, and it would not be lessened by the fact that it was being consumed by someone who had had a snack half an hour before. And I would finish the meal without any of the negative feelings associated with either having a second, third, or fourth helping, or not having a second, third, or fourth helping, and therefore being disappointed that I didn't. I was simply leaving the table content. If you have never experienced any sort of compulsive or addictive behaviour, it's quite hard to explain what an absolute relief it is to just have them vanish. Did I lose weight? Yes, plenty. But here's the weird thing. I've paid almost no attention to whether or not I was losing weight. In the past, I would fixate upon that because I was constantly looking for an upside to the 24/7 downside of depriving myself. Here, had I lost no weight at all, I would still regard this as being an incredible thing to have done, if only for the food noise to have been turned off in my head, which has allowed me, in this period of clarity, to completely reassess my relationship with food and my understanding of what normal, healthy food consumption looks like and feels like. I took some footage for this video, but I almost regard that physical change, and I should point out, I'm not yet where I want to be, but I'm certainly a step on from when I started this. I regard that change as being a handy side effect of this drug that fixed my head. What next? Well, interestingly, at the 4-week point, I was told my prescription could increase to the 5 milligrams on its way up to that larger dose, but I told them I'd just take the 2.5 again, please. So I'm still taking this tiny amount. Will I continue? I don't know. Will those people carry on annoying sharks? Maybe. Now, there are some studies around on longer term use on these medications, and they sometimes show a high level of obesity reoccurrence and also muscle loss during the treatment period. They're the things I've heard lots about. But it's worth bearing in mind, the studies are typically done on very obese people with zero history of exercise and healthy living. It's not a huge surprise that many of them return to their old ways if they're ignorant of alternatives. Turning off food noise is like making your child studying for their exams turn off the TV. They still need to actually study once everything is quiet. In short, if those studies were done on some people that did some resistance training and received some education on how to function now that they were able to use that knowledge, I expect we'd have slightly different outcomes. I certainly anticipate a positive long-term outcome for me. But forget about me for a moment. Here is why I'm making this video. It's to answer the question that people were asking me who are using these types of medications or thinking of it and worried about public opinion. Screw public opinion. If you consult with your doctor and they deem it to be a safe and appropriate course of action, listen to your doctor. Do not listen to some muppet yelling, "Eat less, move more" on the internet. Because when you're in hospital, dying from one of the many things that being significantly overweight can help you die from, peace of mind that you didn't upset Nigel the gym bro on TikTok will not keep you alive. Unfortunately, a lot of people just do not have a clue. In the little research I did this morning online, just to get a feel for public opinion right now, I see the same old stuff. You don't need it. You just need to exercise or eat like this or eat like that, or you're lazy or you're looking for an easy solution. You need to understand that no matter how cathartic you might find it to shout at an obese person that they're stupid and should put down the donut, it doesn't stop them being obese. If it did, that would actually be very handy. We could all go out and find an obese person each and yell at them. Suddenly, the statistics which show the majority of people are overweight, many of them are obese, and it's killing them in their millions, those statistics would reverse. In the UK, the National Health Service would suddenly have just staggering amounts of spare money because they're not treating heart disease and cancer and type 2 diabetes caused by poor diet. And you get to yell at the fat person and feel superior. It's a win-win, except it isn't, because it turns out that does not work. If you need really good evidence of that, look at COVID. We didn't yell at fat people, we watched many of them die. And yet today, more people are overweight than ever. If death isn't a motivator, no amount of fitness influencers yelling about thermodynamics on Instagram is going to help. And for every person out there now saying, "Will it help me?" That's amazing. The statistics do not lie though. You are in a minority, but you live in a society filled with everybody else. It doesn't benefit you for a large number of everybody to be staggeringly unhealthy, feeling smug that you nailed it. But then when you start doing CrossFit, you can't get to your local accident emergency because there's 3 people ahead of you suffering heart attacks. Feeling smug will not deal with your concussion. And if you think the solution is intermittent fasting or carnivore diet or zone 2 training or plant-based or hybrid or just improve your morning routine, pick anything you like. And many of those things are amazing beneficial things to be doing. But if you think they're the solution to the global obesity crisis, you've fallen on your head too many times. That's not a CrossFit joke, that's serious. Go walk up and down your high street, look at the majority of people who are too fat, and tell me how you're going to get them onto whole foods and cold plunging without doing something different to what we have been doing to help those people so far. So if there is a means of those people facilitating their ability to control what they eat, they should be applauded, not derided. And this notion that it's just an easy way out, no, it's not. These drugs do not let you eat pizza and still lose weight. They help you not eat the pizza. People are saying, it's just calories in, it's calories out. I know. People on these drugs stuff less calories in. If you can achieve that without the need for medication, that's brilliant. If someone else can't, let them fix it. I can't run a marathon without my asthma inhaler. Should I try anyway to avoid the easy solution? And yes, there are side effects, but those side effects have to be considered against the side effects of being obese, which is death for millions of people and a crappy quality of life on the way to that early grave. Also realize all medications have potential side effects. Even something like ibuprofen has them. We take that for a headache. When I started this whole process, I researched it a lot and I read about headaches, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, blood in your vomit, black poo. I thought, I'm never taking ibuprofen again. It's also interesting that a large amount of the negative commentary is coming from those quite content with their body shape and already existing within the fitness bubble, a bubble where there's just a huge number of people taking all manner of pharmaceutical interventions in order to achieve popularity and fame and fortune. Wow. And good luck to them. Again, grown-ups, do what you like. But you can't hold up Mr. Olympia as a hero for making his body completely abnormal with large amounts of drugs, while attacking Chubby Bob for making his normal with a jab into his belly once a week. And if you think Bob is now setting a bad example for others who might regard his approach as a fast track to looking the way they'd rather, check out the number of teenagers doing steroids before we get too bogged down in bad examples. So should everybody that's overweight jump on medication to allow them to achieve and maintain contentment along with a healthy size? No idea. Should everyone have a go at base jumping? I'm not your mum, figure it out yourself. I just thought it might be interesting to hear what I tried with no expertise, but a healthy understanding of how we are losing the obesity battle and doing nothing about that because we live in echo chambers of our own preconceived ideas and opinions is a disaster already happening. Next week's sharks.